Okay, can you still hear me okay, Michael? You guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Alrighty, cool. All right, everything's live.
Sorry, that was me. Earlier, yeah, I'm logged in. Earlier, I did this 3 hours ago and it popped right up.
We'll go to the, what's the date on that? Right there.
That's just giving us that's who we are. Isn't this so weird? Let me try this. Maybe my system. Yes.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. Everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Get to my agenda here real quick. Okay. I am calling to order the PCOE and PUSD joint board meeting to order. And Jolene, can you lead us in the flag salute, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Here.
Edmund, here. Paul,
Here.
Keller,
Here.
Reed.
Okay, thank you very much, Patty. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the PCOE PUSD agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Dave. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is our presentations. I can get these to open here. Apologize, it's not opening up on my agenda and I don't know why.
Missy's ready to go. Ready.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Chelsea, Michael, Eric, you want to come up here?
So Erin, I'm so excited to present you with the Principal's Recognition Award. And I have a few words to say from your previous teachers. All of them wanted to speak, but I had to keep it to 3 minutes. So you get a snippet from each grade span. So Ms. Tansey said, ever since kindergarten, Erin has been an extremely kind student and very responsible coyote. I remember being blown away by what a strong reader he was in kindergarten. I can't imagine how strong his skills are now in 6th grade. It's been fun watching him grow and change while always keeping a good head on his shoulders and a kind heart. The sky's the limit for this awesome young man. And Mrs. Marquette said, Erin's one of the most respectful students I have ever had the pleasure of teaching. He consistently produces quality work and tries his best in all he does. He is kind and caring to staff and students alike and is a wonderful example of what a CRC coyote should be. I'm so proud of you, Erin. Last but not least, your 6th grade teachers both said, Erin is kind and caring in all that he does. He's not afraid to ask questions and works well with others. Erin is a prime example of what it means to be safe, responsible, and respectful. Erin is very thorough in all of his work, turns in all his assignments, and they're always neat and complete. In addition, he's organized and pays close attention to detail and what is expected of him. Keep working hard, Aaron, and remember to carry these skills with you throughout the remainder of the school year and into life. So thank you for all that you've done as a Coyote at CRC, and PHS is getting a great student next year. And then your mom and I are gonna walk around so that you can shake hands with each of the board members, and I'll hold this for you. Okay, come on over, buddy. Let's give this.
Congratulations. Dave Keller.
And that's it. You did it, buddy.
Great work. Thank you very much, Missy. Sarah, is Sarah there?
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Hi, Sarah.
It's my pleasure to introduce 11th grade student Axel Juarez. When Axel first came to our school 5 years ago as a 7th grader, he was quiet and withdrawn. For the next few years on our campus, he resisted learning English and wasn't doing so well in his classes. But this year, something changed in Axel. He's working hard to learn English, he's excelling in all of his classes, and he's playing on the soccer team. His teachers have been amazed at his progress and unanimously nominated him for this award. So congratulations to you, Axel. His teachers, Miss Cash and Miss Hodge, or his EL teachers, had this to say. We're so proud of all that Axel has accomplished this year academically as well as socially. It puts a smile on our faces every day to see how far Axel has come with English and how hard he's trying. He's embracing the English language, putting in the extra work to understand what he is learning in all of his classes. Axel has a love for animals and wants to become a veterinarian. He will begin volunteering at the High Sierra Animal Rescue next week to help him towards his goal of becoming a veterinarian. Keep up the amazing work, Axel. So congratulations, Axel. Who's going to now read that in Spanish for family here today?
Miss Sheridan, cuando Axel llegó por primera vez a nuestra escuela hace 5 años como estudiante de 7º grado, estaba callado y retraído. Durante los siguientes años en nuestro campus se resistió a aprender inglés y no le fue bien en sus clases, pero este año algo cambió en Axel. Está trabajando duro para aprender inglés, está sobresaliendo en todas sus clases y juega en el equipo de fútbol. Sus maestros se han sorprendido de su progreso y lo nominaron unánimemente para este premio. Felicidades, Axel. Maestras, señora Cash y señora Hodge. Estamos muy orgullosos de todo lo que Axel ha logrado este año, tanto académico como socialmente. Pone una sonrisa en nuestras caras todos los días por ver lo lejos que ha llegado Axel con el inglés y lo duro que lo está intentando. Está adoptando el idioma inglés y haciendo un trabajo adicional para comprender lo que está aprendiendo en todas sus clases. Axel tiene un amor por los animales y quiere convertirse en veterinario. Comenzará a ser voluntario en High Sierra Animal Rescue la próxima semana para ayudar a alcanzar su objetivo de convertirse en veterinario. Sigue con el increíble trabajo, Axel.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is Ms. Sheridan. Are you introducing Ms. Callahan?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
Shelley Callahan is our teacher feature tonight. Shelley teaches a newer course on our campus. I think last year was the first year, but it's data science. It's become pretty popular on our campus, and they do some really cool things. So we wanted to highlight some of those lessons and the great things that Shelley's doing in the class.
Thank you. All right, so I have These are the first projects that we did.
did constructive criticism. Oh, of course I can't turn it on. And they did really well, helping each other make it better. So they did the first draft versus the second draft, and then talked about what they did. And then their final slide was, what did you learn? And a lot of them learned or talked about how often they use their phone, or how it was an interesting way to collect and represent the data. How if it would do it another time, or even gave them a better appreciation of collecting and storing the data. So it was interesting to hear all of their different comments. We are now moving into cleaning up a set of data, which I'm sure you guys know how when you gather the data, you got to make it neat and tidy, readable, doable. And then they're gonna learn a program called Kodak, where it's really cool. You just drag it and drop it, and it will create a graph for you. So we're gonna play with that actually tomorrow. Then they're gonna do a business analysis and look at a teenage girl who started Me and the Bees, which is a lemonade sweetened with honey. And she wanted to make more bee awareness. And so it's really cool how they set it all up. They're going to totally study it, tear into it, and give her business recommendations. So, and that's all the first unit. There are 8 units. The last unit being, you are now a data scientist. Take all your stuff, everything we've learned, and put it together. Each unit has a math focus on it. This focus was mean, median, mode, range, and interquartile range, which we crunched a lot of numbers. I made them do it by hand. And then I went, oh, look, there's a spreadsheet that can do that all for you. They weren't very happy, but it worked. And it was cool seeing them discover stuff about just Google Sheets. So, and coming up with different ideas on how to show that. So, I don't know, we're going to, the next project we're going to do is make a school-wide survey. And we did this last year. And we just did kind of questions like iPhone or Android. So we did questions like that. And then we actually compiled it together, made different graphs, and sent it to Yearbook, and Yearbook used that as well. So that's our next project. The kids are going to talk about how much water they use and do a focus on that. They're going to make a program excuse me, where they're going to shuffle songs and get into some programming. And then, they're going to program something that puts all of their preferences on a place to live, and each one's going to do it individually. And they're going to be able to take a whole mass of data and pull out specific things that they want, where they want to live. And each kid's going to come up with a different state or a different city. So it's kind of interesting. It's like programming, math, and business all kind of thrown into one. So it's a lot of fun to teach. Very open. It's very fluid and to learn. That's it. What questions do you guys have? Yes, ma'am.
So is this a computer science class then?
It actually counts as math credit,
Okay.
but we do a lot of computer science stuff too.
Right.
They can be both.
And are most of your students, are they 9 through 12 or are they?
We try to set a limit to have integrated math 1 as the background. This year I have a lot of 10th graders. Usually it's, well, we have 2 years. Usually it's like 11th, 12th grade heavy. But this year's 10th grade heavy, but we're all learning the math together at the same day. So, and the older kids are having a fun time reviewing. I actually had some kids come and tell me that we did a median mode range and a quartile range. Yes.
And then their final
Thank you.
You're welcome.
slide was
Very
What
good.
did you learn? Thank you. Yeah, a lot of the.
Thank you guys for allowing.
We talked about the opportunities that we see, but
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda, Trustee Klein is going to handle this one. This is the student representative to the governing board.
Is there or just do it right here?
Sarah's. Okay. Ms. Sheridan, are you going to introduce her? Celeste?
Do that. Yes.
Thank you.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce Celeste Zaviga. She is our board rep this year. She's a wonderful young lady. She's an athlete. She's a scholar, all around great kid. So we're really pleased to have her fill this role for us this year.
Solemnly swear. I, Celeste Zuniga Sanchez, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of California. The Constitution of the State of California. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the Constitution of the United States. To the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. And the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. The duties upon which I am about to enter.
discover stuff about. The next project we're gonna
Oh, right now.
is
Tracy, can she go ahead and give her report?
Go ahead, please. Thank you.
My name is Celeste Zuniga. I'm a senior in high school, and throughout these 4 years, I've observed a great growth in the school. Firstly, with our varsity football team, they've gone undefeated this whole season, which is something we did not go through last year. Our passing periods have always been 5 minutes, and they have always been enough time for us to go through the whole school. We have to get from one end of the school to the other, and still stop by your locker and go to the restroom if you need to. There has been a lot of caring for student grades. We have intervention for all those students who are currently not passing class, and that has truly helped a lot. And we have tutorial, which is something that helps a lot of student athletes to get their work done. And it helps other students too, so they don't have homework when they get home. And our volleyball team currently has an overall percentage win of over 62%, which is something great. They're currently going to go to the playoffs. Soccer, Sally didn't make it, but they have a lot of care for them, which is really nice. And lastly, I would like to end that all of our teachers care for our students. I feel like I can easily communicate with my teachers, and I know others feel like that too. And I feel like that is very important for all of us because we have questions and we would like the answers to them. And our AP classes have helped us a lot to prepare us for college. I'm currently taking 3, and they've been tough, but they have actually helped me a lot. And it is awesome. PHS.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, next item on the agenda is our public input portion. And we have received 2 public input for comments for this evening. And the first one is Dylan Dodson.
Hi, my name is Dylan Dodson, and I am the ASB president here at the Toll High School. And I would like to make a proposal to change the date of graduation so that our graduation does not fall on the same date as all the other schools in Williams County. For an example of my reason for this proposal, with the recent tragedy of losing the town of Greenville, which has caused families to move to different areas and attend different schools such as our own Portola High School. It is to my knowledge that several families have been divided up from the Greenville area and are attending not only Portola High School, but also Quincy High School, Chester High School, Loyalton, and have moved into Lassen County. I know that Greenville High School is now back, open back up, but that does not change the fact that a majority of families have not been able to return due to no home to return to and the housing crisis within Plumas County. A lot of our class members have family and or relationships with other graduating students that attend other schools and that would like to be able to attend those graduations or have them attend ours. Personally, I have a twin brother that is attending Quincy High School, and unfortunately, I will not. It would not be fair to have families be conflicted on which graduation to attend. I know that there are staff members who have families that attend other schools who would also like to be able to attend both graduations. A benefit of living in a small community and district is most people have families, family and friends district-wide. A way that we can incorporate changing the date of graduation date is for all schools to have them on different days of the week on the last week of school. An example of this would be Greenville could have theirs on Tuesday, Chester's on Wednesday, Quincy and Portola can have theirs on Thursday and Friday. And I know that usually seniors have like the whole last week of school to practice their walk and graduation stuff. But since Greenville and Chester are smaller schools and don't have large graduating classes, they don't need as much time to practice. And Quincy and Portola can alternate years between Thursday and Friday graduations. And, thank you for your time and being able to take my proposal into consideration. Do you guys have questions?
Thank
Thank
you for your comment. We'll talk to principals, get back.
Thank you.
I wasn't aware that you needed to ask for time. Is there any way that can be added?
Yes.
Okay, Patty, so we also, Daryl has also requested to speak and then someone else has, is that correct?
We're having a lot of hands list. We don't have a list. It's just Suzanne wants to go last. Okay. So if you could just acknowledge the ones that are here and let her know who they are. Okay. And you can call them.
Thank you, Patty.
Why don't you go ahead and step up?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, got to put on my glasses now because I have two new eyes, which happened as of yesterday, cataract surgery. At any rate, I want to say three things. First of all, I write a journal every morning, and this morning I realized I wrote how excited I was to be here. And that's a new experience for me because I've been a teacher for 33 years. Yeah, 30. This is my fourth, and I've never been excited why there are never a lot of teachers at board meetings. We are incredibly busy. I see that. We are so incredibly busy. And I wrote down that a typical teacher has three things they deal with in a day: school, work, and activities with students, family commitments, and some few stolen moments to try to keep their lives in balance. And so as a teacher, I know that I've avoided board meetings. I'm sorry, last year I did. because I was just so busy and there was just so much to do. So I just want you to recognize that sometimes the lack of teachers at board meetings, not because they're not interested, not because it's the end of the day and they're checked out, and it's not because they just sort of don't have a buy-in to the process. It's because we just live an overwhelmingly busy lifestyle. I wrote as a last comment on that. I started school roughly around August 16, and my school day started around August 16, and it's going to end around June 13. It's just one long school day, when I sleep, when I don't sleep, etc. And I'm excited about it. My kids that I work with, I'm excited for them. Second, and I got to be real careful how I say this, we had negotiations on October 6th, and Christy put out an official statement, and I will read part of that official statement. She said, positive progress was made on many items, and both parties look forward and hope to finalize a tentative agreement at the next session on Thursday, November 3rd. Okay. Now, what Christy wasn't able to say is just, it was wonderful. The working relationship that PCTA negotiating team has this year with the negotiating team of the district, I think is outstanding. We worked together, it was a long day, and we started with the most difficult issues first. And we actually tackled the most difficult issue that we tackled. And what's left, there are some issues that we have to agree on, but what's left is by far and none just much easier than what we accomplished on that day. I'm excited for it, okay? I'm excited for this relationship. The only bummer is if we do settle on that day, I don't get to sit down with these guys in negotiations anymore for the rest of the year. Which leads me to the third thing. Also, what didn't make Christie's announcement was that Bill Roderick, and I will read it, said, I will buy dinner for everyone here if we settle today. If we settle today. Now, we didn't settle. We didn't settle. Teachers didn't get the dinner. But what I want to say about that is Bill and Christy make it their duty to not just have a negotiating relationship with us teachers. His statement basically earmarked a statement that he wants to work with us at a different level. He works on not just the basis of this duty that we have, but, and I wrote this, the relationship that we are building with Bill Roderick and with Christy and with others on the board and et cetera, but those two because they were on negotiations, is a relationship based upon mutual respect, trust, and a willingness to understand and appreciate the complexity of each other's challenges. And I truly, truly want to tell you and to you that I absolutely appreciate that relationship of trust, but also a relationship where we're working to understand the challenges of the district and the challenges of the teachers. So thank you very much for the respect you showed us on that day. And I look forward to the rest of our negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. And just a reminder, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of public input. Public input is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. So thank you very much, Daryl. I appreciate the positive feedback. And Patty, if I recall, we had somebody else.
We do. It's Kathy Wickman. Is that the
Okay.
podium?
Thank you.
Wickman?
Thank you. Yes,
Okay.
thank you so much. Yeah, and I am here actually to talk about paraeducators. So I appreciate the time. I'm just going to kind of go over my own personal experience and tell you where I'm at. I'm a concerned parent. My daughter is Aspen Wickman, and she is currently enrolled at Quincy High School in a special day class. For the past 2 years, there have not been an adequate number of paraeducators in my daughter's classroom. The impact on my daughter's education is undeniable. Last year, Aspen attended only a half day of school for most of the year due to lack of paraeducators. Schools simply could not support her without an adequate number. This year, her classroom started out with 3 paraeducators, and within a month, a paraeducator left to work in administration. The teacher and the paraeducators appear stressed and disheartened. I do not find fault with the teacher or the paraeducators for not providing everything listed in my daughter's IEP, as I understand that their requests for adequate number of educators is not being addressed by the administration. In addition to attempting to care for their own students, they are pulled to support the general education students, including during tutorial time. From my perspective, while typical students are awarded more opportunities in after-school programs, open gyms, field trips, and extended summer school, the special education children's opportunities are becoming more restricted due to a lack of paraeducators. In researching why there continues to be a shortage of staffing, I consider 2 factors. 1, the Plymouth Charter School has further strained the paraeducator workforce pool. And 2, there is a striking discrepancy in wages. For example, an administrative assistant whose requirement is a high school diploma and equivalent experience of 2 years of college has a starting pay ranging from $19.47 to $21.47 an hour. In contrast, a paraeducator's requirements is graduation from high school, an AA degree, or 48 semester units, or passage of a paraprofessional exam, plus a preferred 1 year working with handicapped students, for a starting pay range of $15 an hour to $17 an hour. You're paying administration over $4 more an hour for a position that requires less experience. Finally, special needs students deserve and frankly are legally obliged to equivalent education. Paraeducators should be paid sufficiently for the education and experience you require of them. I hope you will consider this moving forward. Please also consider that a lack of resources as justification for not meeting IEPs can only apply for so long. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And our last speaker of the evening, Suzanne Sterling.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in public comment. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Suzanne Sterling. I'm a lifetime resident of Plymouth County. Just reimagined my life from Plymouth Unified in June after an entire career working as a teacher in grades 2nd through 12th when I worked for 2 years with the charter school. A long history of education in Plymouth County. I want to do a big thank you to the Board of Trustees first for approving the agreement with Plymouth Charter School and I'm assuming Indian Valley Academy that Mr. Keller is that, I don't know the actual name of it. The agreement that allows the athletes in Indian Valley to play with Greenville High School students. I just don't know the formal name of it. So I wanted to say thank you. Yesterday I was able to watch my 2 great nieces play volleyball in the gym in Quincy and then zoom over to Greenville and watch another great niece play volleyball. And I can tell you, having grown up in Greenville, having watched my hometown burn, having watched my family home of 56 years burn, what you have done for that valley is incredible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Measure B, I saw in the notes that you want some taxpayer input, and I don't know who to give it to. So normally I, as you all know, would nag a principal to death, but I no longer work for you, so I don't do that. The sign at Quincy High has been funky for years. Please fix it. Likewise, the sign at Greenville High doesn't appear to be working either. Sarah, your sign looks perfect. Nice job out here. I don't know, for me as a taxpayer, that bugs the heck out of me. I drive by and the signs don't work. I do know, having been to every board meeting for the past 4 years, how much those signs cost. So I'm sure there's someone that knows how to fix them somewhere. Just as a taxpayer, it just looks funky driving through a town with a broken sign. Big shout out to Plymouth News if they're here, and also all the teachers wearing their shirts. My colleague Daryl, thanks Daryl. Glad to hear everything's going swimmingly. Sorry I resigned a year early, it sounds like, but Anyway, thank you to all the teachers for being here and for Kathy for speaking up very much. I saw Aspen, my volunteer principal, the other day. Thank you to Plymouth News for the most recent article. I don't know if this is the right forum to share this in, but I'm going to. We have thankfully, 2 candidates running for one of our districts for the Board of Trustees. And as a career educator, I'm quite concerned when I see fact checking in the newspaper that says that the data at this high school was not understood correctly. And then that went out in a public meeting that, granted, not too many people attended, but I did. I watched the Facebook Live. I asked a question that was not answered. That really shocks me because having known a lot of the teachers at Portola High School, having worked extensively with Sarah Sheridan for years, to see data misinterpreted for someone running for public office, to me, is shocking. I don't know if that person's here. Sorry. Likewise, the test scores at Chester High School. Nothing, I'm sorry, is going to make me angrier as a career educator than to hear my colleagues thrown under the bus, especially after a global pandemic. And to think that you are going to hold teachers entirely responsible for what children could not learn at home, to me, is incredulous. Test scores were mentioned. It's my understanding that the 2022 scores aren't out yet. I'm sure I'll look mine up as soon as they were. I'm sure they're atrocious. And I'll own that. I was not a great teacher during a pandemic. Like most of our teachers, I did the best I could. And lastly, I'd like to ask the board and Miss Edlund, and if the other candidate is here, how do we define college? I saw a quote on Plymouth News that said something about less than 20% of our kids are going to a 4-year college, and that our students aren't excelling in English or math or going to 4-year colleges. Well, as a 16-year English teacher for you, I did the very best I could. In some years, my scores reflected that, and some years they didn't. And as we talk about truancy and kids being in school, if I taught any of your students, which I may have, I'm not sure, I had your kids for 6 hours a day. I can tell you straight up that not all of your kids come to school on time. And if you think this county has bad truancy rates, which I know this school does not, I urge you to compare to some other districts in this state and see where we are. Lastly, I want to wrap up with, as we talk about how we define college, we can define it as a 4-year college. I went to one. I have a master's equivalent. So did my daughter. My daughter was the exception, I guess. I can sit here with a list of the kids that I taught last year. I didn't teach them last year. I taught them in 7th, and I taught them in Success 101. Megan Smith is a graduate of mine. She went to Humboldt State. She's now teaching for you as a 6th grade teacher in Quincy. Olivia Chapin is at Humboldt State. David Lenhart, longtime Plymouth County family, is right a few miles away at UNR, as is his pal Malachite Nelson. Malachite's twin sister Gaia is living in Spain. I would say Gaia is a raging success. She is traveling the world. I have a former student from last year going to Arizona State University. Natalie Davis is going to Boise State University. My pal Nick Cayazzo is going to Montana State University. Sabina Winter going to Chico State. I can go on and on and on about our graduates that go to 4-year colleges. I can also go on and on and on about our graduates that go to FRC. I can go on and on about the students that I've taught that have never gone to college. People like my husband who didn't excel in college, yet 30-year veteran contractor in this county, who, when you want to talk about building houses in this county for teachers, I hope you're prepared to spend $400 a square foot, because that's the going rate. If you can get a contractor, there aren't very many. So thank you for listening to my lengthy speech. Sorry, I went up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is under our student achievement. We have a public hearing, and Christy, are you taking this one?
Yeah, this is for sufficiency of instructional materials. President Holt, if you just would like to open up the public hearing.
Absolutely. I'm opening up the public hearing. Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Okay.
You have two resolutions before you tonight, one on the county side, one on the district regarding sufficiency of instructional materials, seeking approval for both of those this evening.
Okay, and Patty, Bill, we need to take these separately because they will be roll call votes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we have a resolution on the PCOE side of 2223-03.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2223-03.
Thank you, Jolene.
I'll second.
Thank you, Leslie. And now I'm going to do the roll call for this one. Klein, Edlund, Keller,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. On the PUSD side, we have resolution 1614.
I'll move to approve USD
Thank you.
1614.
I'll second.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Dave. Roll call, Klein,
Aye.
Edlund, Keller,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else on that, Christy?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 10, our facilities. And Lisa, you have next couple of items on Measure B and our general fund facility projects. So take it away.
I do, and I did provide an updated Measure B list with the placeholder items, some change orders, and the additional outstanding items we were waiting for proposals on. Each of the board members do have that. I do have a copy for public if anybody would like to see the revised list. All of the projects, all of the proposals are projected to be within the approved and projected budgets for each of the projects. The majority are related to Chester Elementary modernization. Are there any questions from the board?
Okay, hearing none, you're seeking approval for the Measure B project requests?
We did have one, the QHS.
I'm sorry, Leslie.
Sorry, does QHS paving include the 10th spot?
I don't know offhand. I have to look.
I can get that from you.
It's very in-depth.
Yeah.
And it's not all going to be done this fall. We're going to be fall, then when the snow goes out, they'll finish.
We'll get that for you.
Any additional questions? Okay, hearing none, we're seeking approval for the Measure B project request this evening.
Approve.
Thank you, Leslie.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Jolene.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Next
Okay.
item, Lisa.
Can I give a 15-second update on a project on a Measure B project?
Sure.
The sign repairman from the company in Florida who installed them all will be here the last week of October to repair all of the signs or marquees from one end of the county to the other. So that is in process.
Thank you very much. Okay, Lisa, next item.
Okay, the next item, we are looking for ratification. Excuse me, routine restricted maintenance project with Wilburn Construction, as well as one that will come from our routine restricted maintenance type budget, anything that's above what is reimbursed through Dixie Fire, through insurance and FEMA. We are requesting ratification. Those were within the superintendent's approval limit and approved.
Can I ask, is the concrete debris at PHS, is that still from the demo that we did down here? Where's that from?
I hate to say
It is the high jump sector in the end zone, behind the end zone of the football field.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on those items? Okay, we're seeking approval of those facility items this evening.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Jolene.
Second.
Thank you, Leslie. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Next item, Bill. Williams quarterly report.
We are going to go out for this is an information item. We're going out request for proposal to do an HVAC upgrade. We're going to look at the multi-campus at Greenville because the scale of it is very similar to what we'll be seeing at the others. Before we can try to make a plan to upgrade and deal with some of this heat we're seeing in the summer, we have to get an idea of what it will cost to actually retrofit the campus, and that's what this is asking for. So we'll be submitting an RFP to see what companies think they can do with these facilities in terms of cooling in the summer and maybe upgrading the heat system for the winter.
Don't we have some of this information from the group that we had come in giving us energy savings criteria?
So not specifically for HVAC.
Okay.
So they took a look at all of our heating systems. So we do have, we have the reconditioning, our propane systems, right, which would get us through until funding becomes available to look at an actual upgrade of something else at a later date.
I know when we were talking split systems, remember back then? That it seems like that's in their wheelhouse. So I'm just, maybe we reach out to them and ask. Since they've already spent a lot of time on our campuses, it might be economical to have them go back to their data and give us some information, even about split systems, now that we're looking at different options.
So I know Superintendent Roderick has had some conversations, and there is a concern with them actually doing the scope and also doing the proposal. There could be
Too basic.
No, it has to do with creating your own item that you would later bid on.
Oh,
yeah.
So we're looking, getting an idea, and depending on what the scope looks like, maybe, and they do have for future proposals to look at something that we can do within that tax exempt lease financing like we did before. They have to be able to realize a specific savings for it to qualify under that program. We can always do a design that builds something like that as well. This is a preliminary check the temperature to see what that what the pool of cost may look like.
We could get 4 bids that look entirely different in terms of scope of work, and that's okay. We need to get an idea and see what we can plan for.
So this information will go to them as well.
So just to clarify, you're asking for the board's kind of the temperature of the board in terms of you going out and getting proposals, does not commit the district to any funding at this point. It's just proposals just to kind of see what it would look like. Is that correct?
That is correct, because these could come in anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million, and we can't plan with that big of a range. So we need to figure out what something like this is going to cost. We're not committed to anything.
Okay, thank you. So you're seeking just kind of
Informational.
it's information only. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, are there any other questions from board members on this? Okay, next item is also yours, Bill.
So we have Williams quarterly reporting, and you have 2 items on here. One is for the County Office of Ed, one is for the Unified School District that show we have 0 Williams complaints for the first quarter of the school year for Plumas County Office of Education, and then the second report is that there are 0 reports filed in the first quarter of the 22-23 school year for Plumas County Unified, or Plumas Unified School District, sorry. So these are these action items? No, not action items, informational. Just so you know, we have no complaints.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, item number 11, fiscal. I'm going to let you just roll with these, Lisa.
I will go ahead and screen share here. Ready? Okay. So I'm going to start with the joint information on Plymouth for Plymouth County Office of Ed and Unified School District, and then I'll give you specifics on each of the entities and where we are ending last year. Okay, just a reminder, our strategic goals begin with student achievement, are followed with fiscal responsibility, and that is that we can have a balanced budget to support all of those items. Staffing, recruiting, and retaining, family and community, engaging and enhancing family and community partnerships, and facilities, making sure that they are up to snuff for learning in the current environment. Reminder of where we are in our cycle. Our budget cycle is constantly changing. As a reminder, the only time our numbers are actually final and real is at the end of the year in September, October, when we've closed out the prior year. And so normally this would come to the board in September with just the continued impacts of COVID, Dixie Fire, and staffing shortages. This is coming in October. In December, you will receive an updated first interim report, which will contain the activity from July 1 through October 31st of the current year. Then in March, you'll receive activity through January. And then we start the cycle over again, looking at closing out the current year and bringing in the new one. So again, it's cyclical. Everything is driven in the budget by the LCAP, so the Local Control Accountability Plan. Okay, we'll start with Plymouth County Office of Education. And just a comparison here of where we estimated we were going to finish. So if you remember back on that last screen in June, we project where we think we are going to finish the year. And then over the summer, things, finalized revenues coming in, invoices go out for billing. We have projects that are continuing to happen. Summer school continues to happen. All of those things are operating. And so we're guessing based on the information that we have as to where we think we're going to finish. So on the left is where we estimated in June, and on the right is where we are actually ending the year. And really the one that you want to pay the most attention to is the unrestricted general fund. The restricted really that's where all of the grants, our COVID funds, the way that we have to report those dollars is as if we are going to spend everything, even though we aren't. And then we have to then remove those revenues and those expenditures, and it's all part of that closing process to where we actually end up. So if you see, we are actually very close on the unrestricted general fund, total of about $12,000 difference. And that actually is mainly due to, excuse me, a difference in our restricted funds, because we do charge indirect, so we have overhead costs that are charged on those restricted funds that offset general operating expenses. And so as we don't spend as much on the restricted, it then lowers what comes into the pot on the unrestricted side. So we do see a difference in, again, the timing of things and also tuition transfer. So keep in mind that when we have students in opportunity classes or things like that, it actually, the district has funds withheld from their local control funding formula allocation that's then transferred, the state transfers that directly to PCOE. So that's where you will sometimes see an increase in LCFF for PCOE, and it's related to the flow back and forth between district students and county students that adjusts throughout the year, what that looks like. We did have some lower salary and benefits costs due to that percentage of time and shifting of classroom support salary to restricted funding. So we spent where we could. We tried to backfill and be able to make our general fund dollars last as long as possible. Spend the restricted dollars first, because those have the strings attached and have limited time frames for spending. And then we had some purchases that happened in the current year rather than at the end of last year. And so our book supplies and services were lower than expected. And so we were about 5% off in our projections for our revenues and our expenditures. In a normal year, we are much closer. COVID affects how those go back and forth with those fundings. So bottom line, general fund, County Office of Education has a much smaller budget than the Unified School District. Our reserve for economic uncertainty is all held in the general fund, which is $750,000, which is 17%. Again, that's approximately 2 months of operating expenditures for cash flow. The other thing to remember is that in our general fund, we had to move all of the secure rules schools funds that were held in Fund 16 for the programs that happen at the district that the county supports. We spend those down out of the general fund now. So those are reflected in the general fund ending balance rather than in Fund 16. And that was a requirement of CDE about 3 years ago, the way that we report that. So that is the reason for the large reserve. Is adult education. Fund 12 is our early childhood education. Fund 16 is just a little bit of interest there that will end up getting transferred. And then Fund 40 is the ROP construction fund from sale of the Portola. So that is there for future projects. Are there any questions on the county budget? It is, or the county unaudited. On the county side, it is an information item only. The executive summary and the SACS forms were attached to the board agenda.
Any questions on the county side for Lisa?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Oh, sorry, there is one action item on the county side, which is the GAN resolution.
Oh, there is. You're right. I apologize. Let me pull it up.
That was my bad on there. I think a combined presentation, it throws my schedule a little bit. So the GAN resolution just has to do with spending limits for California. It was passed decades ago, and actually our GAN limit is always set by and adjusted by what our actual spending is. Then that, if there's an adjustment needed, the state makes an adjustment on theirs, is typically the way that works. This year, we do not have any changes. We don't have to increase our GAN limits. We are requesting approval of the resolution that matches with the GAN documents that are contained in the unaudited actual SACS forms.
I'll move to approve resolution 2223-04.
Thank you, Dave.
Second.
Thank you, Jody. And this will be a roll call because it is a resolution. So Klein.
Aye.
Edlund. Keller. Reed.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Now we'll move into the Plymouth Unified side. Excuse me. You look, excuse me, at these numbers on here for the unrestricted. Again, that's where we really want to focus. And we're dealing with much larger numbers. Our revenues were off actually by, in unrestricted, 0.5%, which I expected that we would have more of a discrepancy this year because of COVID, but we were actually, you'll notice there's a large difference in the restricted, but very little impact on the unrestricted side of that. For expenditures, again, a large portion of that had to do with that indirect that went from, we had projected $780,000 in indirect because of having to budget spending out all of those COVID funds. And we put it back, it goes back in there, and it's about $200,000 in indirect. So that's what affects that bottom line. And where it's, obviously different from the 255 to the 215. It's really an offset of not getting those indirect charges, which we will get, just not in the current year as we spend them. So those are the big items there. If you notice, our contribution was substantially lower than projected, and that had to do really a lot with COVID and being able to transfer some of those expenditures from food service and some other items in there that we normally contribute to. We were able to shift that to COVID funding, which then lowers our contribution. So without the indirect change, it was our expenditures were also off by 0.5%. Once you add in that the change from the indirect, it brings up to about 4.5%. Again, same things, books, supplies and services higher in a different year. And then while we saved some funding on the county side due to some where people, what positions were working with which students, we had a higher expenditure for that on the district side on that. And we did end up in basic aid status at the end of last year by about $60,000. So that's actually, if you remember, we get the higher funding, whether it's basic aid or LCFF, it's always to our benefit, whichever one we end up in.
But the difference this time was 60,000.
Yeah, it was about $66,000. It actually helped us in that we then get to keep the EPA funding as separate funding instead of having to have it included in our LCFF entitlement. So it actually helped us more than we would have thought that it would. Again, very close. We may come back out of basic aid though once they adjust our ADA for last year. So we had a J13 out, but because our ADA was so low, those things can affect the in and out. So for the current year, we've projected LCFF. That could be basic aid. But not yet. So we'll have a better idea at first income. And where we end for Plymouth Unified, again, we have our reserve for economic uncertainty at 17% as our minimum, and that is what is reflected here. And then our assigned balances, so we do have secure rural schools funds that we've been able to preserve for sites and with the board due to some of those offsets from COVID, and then increased costs for personnel and athletic and safety equipment. So our total reserve is about 22%. And then our funds down here, Fund 8 is ASB, Fund 11 is adult education, Fund 14 is just that little bit of deferred maintenance interest that we keep having that issue, getting it finally closed out. Fund 20 are other post-employment benefits, so we pay retirement benefits out of there. Fund 21 is our bond fund, so that's cash on hand at the end of last year. Fund 35 that's our reimbursement, the remaining amount in there at the end of the year. Fund 40 was our certificate of participation. We've spent those funds out. That was for the rehabilitation of 50 Church. Fund 51, those are taxpayer dollars as far as ad valorem taxes for paying the bonds. And then Fund 67 is restricted to workers' compensation, our old outstanding claims. We are requesting approval for the district unaudited actuals unless the board has questions.
Move to approve the district audited actuals. Is that
Unaudited actuals, but they still have to be audited, yes.
Thank you, Jolene.
Second.
And who was the second?
Leslie?
Leslie, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And then we have the gain resolution on the district side, Lisa.
Yes, exactly. We did receive a notification from CDE requesting that we make an adjustment. So that is that adjustment on the GAN form in SACS. It doesn't affect the GAN resolution because it was not an increase to the final bottom line on there. But just so you're aware, they did ask us to make an adjustment, which we did. Are requesting approval of the GAN limit resolution.
Move to approve resolution 1617.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jolene. There's a roll call. Klein.
Aye.
Edlin.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item is yours as well.
Okay, now we're on the Measure B bond audit report. There were no findings within our Measure B audit report. I'm pleased to, report that we've not ever had a finding for Measure B. So very pleased with the accounting that we get from CRM, the reporting, the communication that we have within our team. So very, very proud of our team for making that happen. So we are requesting and recommending approval of our audit report for Measure B.
I'll move to approve the audit report for Measure B.
Thank you, Jolene.
I'll second.
Thank you, Leslie. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
You?
And President Holt, we are requesting that we table item D for this meeting, please.
That is correct. I have that on my notes. So yes, we will be tabling the proposed increase to the per diems. Okay. Item C, is that one yours as well, Lisa?
Oops, sorry, did we miss one?
The resolution for the district.
As well, my apologies, I scrolled too quickly. And yeah, so this one will obviously have to come back in a couple months again. The state allocation board does require that we, excuse me, declare by resolution who's authorized to sign and act on behalf of the district. Excuse me. And so people have been added but not removed and replaced. And so we're asking to update all of those signers at this time, please.
Any questions on resolution 1616?
I'll move to approve resolution number 1616 as presented.
Thank you, Jolene.
Second.
Thank you, Jody. And this will be a roll call. Klein.
Aye.
Edlin. Keller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you very much. Okay, and we are tabling item D. Okay, next item on the agenda is under our leadership. We got several policies before us. They're always changing, always trying to keep up with CSBA changes. I'm going to make mention for the board that we're going to pull, let's see, BP 6146.1 high school graduation requirements. That needs a little bit more tweaking to be specific for what we require. This has got all the ed code and CDE requirements. So we're going to pull BP 6146.1. And then Mr. Roderick, you had anything else you wanted to add on this?
We also want to pull 6170.1, the transitional kindergarten. This is my mistake. Meant to pull these before. I forgot to communicate that to Patty. We've got work to do on them in terms of what the state sees in their vision versus what we see in our vision. So
Okay.
we're going to table those so we can get our principals together, let Christy get a group together and do work, and we'll come back with something more reasonable for what we expect.
Okay. And these are first reads. So are there any questions from any board members or any comments on these policies? Because we do have we can in fact approve them this evening if there's no questions or changes on the ones that we are reviewing tonight.
I have one question on 5145.7. Is the
Okay.
only change that's highlighted there that we're designating where the Title IX coordinator is contacted? That's the only change?
Yes.
Okay.
And the changes in these are proposed, are brought to us, so we come current. These are not our artistic impressions of board policy.
The questions I had were on the two that you pulled.
Good.
So I can talk with Kristen.
Yep.
About those.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from other board members? Are you comfortable with the ones that we are looking at this evening and moving forward with approval, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
We do it all at once or do?
yes, we can. With the exception of the two that we are pulling.
I'll move to approve the 6 that remain on our docket.
Second.
Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Jody. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. We look forward to having those back in a future meeting. Next item is also for our superintendent, the biennial conflict of interest code.
What we have are updated resolutions. These happen every other year. One for PCOE, one for USD. We'll need a roll call vote approving them. Again, this language was handed down to us so that we are current and legal in our conflict of interest.
Okay, so we will take these separately. The first one is the PCOE resolution 2223-05.
Move to approve resolution 2223.
Thank you, Dave.
Second.
Thank you, Jody. Roll call, Klein.
Aye.
Edlund. Keller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Same thing on the district side, PUSD resolution 1618.
I'll move to approve resolution 1618.
Thank you, Jolene.
Second.
Thank you, Leslie. Roll call, Klein. Edlund.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to our consent agenda. We have minutes from our board meeting on September 14th. Any questions on those?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Leslie.
Second.
Thank you, Jody. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Service contracts. Any questions on the service contracts for this month?
I just ask, what is bicycle curriculum?
Curriculum, we have a new course at Quincy High School with a new CTE teacher. It's called Project Bike, and it is for bicycle repair, CTE course. So a new offering.
Nice. Curriculum existed for that.
Neither did we.
The contract list. Second.
Okay, thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Leslie. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you, everyone. Next item is our check register for the month of September.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Dave. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to field trips.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jody. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And donations.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we will now move into closed session. Thank you, everyone.
All right.